Yeah, you know what? You people, listen, you got to
You
get closer to
people?
your microphone. No, I say you people because so many people have bad
All
mics
right, I'll be real
that
close to my microphone. We'll see if you enjoy that.
okay. Were you the one who said that Christianity is in the same position metaphysically as all other worldviews?
I would say there is no actual difference because you haven't proved the
Okay.
metaphysical
All
part
right.
of it.
Now, just so I'm correct, is this
Yeah, it's
Lem who's
Lemasive.
saying it?
Lemasive.
Okay. Now, okay. So then your non-acceptance of the Christian worldview as being actual means that um, you're operating from another worldview. But since you said Christianity, therefore, is on the same level as any other worldview, that would include your own, correct?
I'm operating from a relativistic, pragmatic worldview.
No,
That's the
sir.
only thing.
I asked you a specific question.
All right.
Okay.
Can you
Now,
repeat it?
when so your position is that Christianity is not verified by itself in the same way no worldview is verified, right? Is
Yeah,
that
it's
your
not
position?
verified. Yeah, sure. It's not
Okay,
verified.
so that means that the worldview that you're speaking from and making evaluations, and that the evaluations would be substantive in virtue of your model of reality, your model of reality is unverified. Is that correct?
Yes, I agree with that.
All right, good. Therefore, if your model of reality is incorrect, then the propositions that stem from it and evaluations are without basis.
Sure.
Therefore, your evaluation of Christianity you have just conceded is without basis.
That might. Yeah, no. Yeah, sure. In that
Good.
sense, in that
Then
specific, but
what you're asserting then,
as a
okay, that now it's
relativist,
game over. No,
wait a second,
it's
I'm not
game
done.
over,
As a
sir. You don't
relativist,
realize.
no, it's not
You
game over.
don't
As a relativist,
realize.
I
Listen,
assume that of everything.
no, sir.
Yes,
What
I
you
do
don't
of
listen.
everything. I
What
can
you
say
don't
with
realize.
100%. Well, not 100%, but okay, that's fine.
Listen,
I can tell you that
you're not listening to me.
even though
You're not
I might
understanding.
not agree with something,
You're not
doesn't mean I'm
understanding.
sure about it. I
No.
don't accept anyone else being
What you're
sure about it
doing
as
right
well.
now, listen, what you're
Yes.
doing right now, either you truly do not understand the implications of what you just conceded to,
I haven't
or
conceded
what
to
you're
anything.
doing, you're over talking me. Okay. Now, are you making an evaluative declaration about Christianity? The answer is yes. Now, your evaluation of any state of affairs will be in virtue of your model of reality. Okay? Now, that declaration or proposition or putative fact, right, will only be as substantive as it is derived from your model of reality. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you accept that?
I accept that.
Okay. Now, your evaluations and propositions about anything, including Christianity, are only substantive in virtue of your model of reality.
Sure.
Now, your model of reality, can it be accounted for?
No, neither reality.
Okay,
can.
now what you have now conceded to
Is that I'm not sure.
Listen, no, you're not listening.
Yeah, that's exactly what I conceded
I'm
to.
going
You don't
through
get to
this.
tell me what
You're
I
over
conceded.
fast talking and over talking me.
Well, if you
for
want to
the
straw man
purpose
me,
of
just say that.
disrupting.
Hey, come on.
I'm not finished. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to show you is what you have just conceded to. What you have
Okay.
conceded to without realizing it.
But I realize what you're
now.
doing.
Listen, you're over.
Lemasive, dude. I don't have to mute you.
Let me finish.
GMP, do your job.
Okay. What you have conceded to is you are now making propositional statements and evaluations from your worldview, which is baseless. You see the problem?
Yes, I see all worldviews as baseless. Yes?
No, sir.
Yes, I do.
Therefore, you are conceding to making baseless statements.
Yes, in my mind, you're making baseless statements
Sir,
as well.
Then you see it wouldn't matter because then that would be a baseless and arbitrary statement as well.
You see, there's a difference here. There's not black and white.
You're not understanding. You really aren't getting it.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
But there's no proof.
No, sir.
There is no proof of anything being true. If you can deliver truth,
is that true?
Yeah.
Is that true?
That is true.
What's the proof of that?
We don't have one. That's why we can
Okay,
assume
good.
it's
So you
true.
just admitted again you're making another baseless assertion.
No, it's not baseless.
All right, dude, listen. In all due respect to you, okay? I'm trying to be respectful to you, all right? You do not realize that you have made a catastrophic philosophical concession.
Actually,
What you're saying, listen, if I told you that I was going to give you a gold-plated square triangle for your birthday, would you be happy?
No.
Why not?
Why the fuck would I want a gift from you? Like, seriously.
No, I'm asking you a question. If somebody were to give you a solid gold bar as a gift, would you?
Yeah, I would probably not accept it.
Oh, if someone just gave you if someone gave you gold, you wouldn't take it?
That's right.
Why not?
Ooh, sorry.
Well, there are many implications of that. First of all, I'm not very interested in monetary gain. That's why, for example, when my father tried to give me about $500,000, I told him I didn't want any. Like, for example, so I mean, not interested in monetary gain in that sense at all.
You're not understanding my point.
You asked me if I wanted a gift, and I said no.
Okay, so what you're missing, the point that you're missing, because you're in an argumentative mode, right? The point you're missing is that a square triangle cannot exist. It's a logical incoherency. Okay? Now, you keep on conceding that you have no basis for your statement.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay? And then you
that does not mean I can't be part of a discussion.
Okay, dude, do you know how to be civil and not overtalk
90% of this conversation
I'm
is you trying to
explain something to you. Okay, it never fails. Listen, you have conceded here before everyone.
Yes.
That all of your assertions are baseless.
Not baseless.
Oh, yeah, you already conceded that. Now you're flip-flopping.
No, I concede that I have no base. I have no actual base as in a moral, a deity, an authority, and that's it. Doesn't mean it's senseless or it has no pragmatic value.
You're not at all. Listen,
so what you're doing right now is that you're moving everything to either black and white position.
No, you're not. You're not understanding.
Thing to do. You know that,
what
right?
you are doing. Listen, you are truly not understanding what you are doing.
I understand exactly what you're doing.
No, you're not.
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm going to ask you.
That's not a problem for me. It's not a problem for me to say I don't
listen,
know. That's not a problem for me to say.
This is the problem.
The problem that I cannot understand the world around me. It doesn't mean that it's baseless in the sense that I have no idea.
You're not understanding. Listen, dude.
Yes, I do.
You are. I'm going to tell you right now. You are not understing the conversation and what you were doing.
Are you happy if I said that the spaghetti monster?
Why is it that every time?
All right, hey guys, I need you guys to be civil, please.
Thank you. I am being civil. Every time I try to speak and try to inform this gentleman, he immediately starts over talking me and interrupting. That's a sign that somebody doesn't understand. Now,
no, it's a sign of you being very slow in your fucking inference.
Do assertions, do putative facts and assertions have any compelling authority if they are ultimately baseless?
If they're proven to be right in enough terms, we would say
you've just contradicted yourself.
If they have been proven to be right enough times, we would assume in a pragmatic world that there are, for example, a theory and axiom. That's what
you're not. Listen, you're not getting this.
You're interrupting him. Don't be a hypocrite.
Okay? The problem here is you're not understanding it, and you're just giving me boilerplate response. You just earlier stated that nothing could be ultimately proven.
Yes.
Did you not? Good.
Yes.
If then you can't appeal to pragmatism about how things work because you've earlier conceded that nothing is provable.
Yes, I have said that nothing is provable. It doesn't mean it's not plausible.
Okay, no, sir. You can't. If nothing is provable, then you can't demonstrate that it is plausible.
Of course,
you're not understand. Listen, dude. I'm not trying to be. Listen, I am truly not trying to give you a hard time. You are truly not understanding.
See, all of this, what you're doing right now, this is just unnecessary. Just say your statement instead.
I just watched a documentary on flat earthers on the National Geographic, and they proposed a test to the flat earther. This is an example psychologically of what you're doing, okay? They proposed a test. They would send a boat out onto one of the largest lakes in the United States, and they had a large vertical banner that had multiple stripes on it. And the idea was, as they went over the horizon and the boat was, the visual sighting of the stripes was impeded by the curvature of the earth, that the lower stripes would start to disappear from view below the horizon.
Sure.
Okay. As soon as they demonstrated that to the flat earther, he immediately made up an ad hoc excuse and just began rambling.
Okay.
This is precisely what you're doing right here. You've conceded that all of your assertions and putative facts have no ultimate basis. So if they have no ultimate basis, then your assertions are ultimately arbitrary.
They're not arbitrary in the sense that we use it as pragmatic. We're pragmatic people. We're rational people. Right? Humans are.
You're repeating the same. Dude, you're not getting this. You're repeating the same error.
For example, a god or a deity as my basis of where something would come from, I can still accept that through pattern recognition, observation, and testing, you found out what is plausibly reality.
I'm utterly
true.
I'm utterly perplexed at how you're not getting this.
Not true.
Listen,
you're interrupting me all the time now. You know that.
You have what you're doing right now is called cognitive dissonance. You are contradicting yourself repeatedly.
How am I contradicting myself?
Because you keep on making truth claims, but you earlier said that truth claims cannot be ascertained.
What's my truth claim?
Whenever you present a putative fact, that's a truth claim.
Can you tell me?
You made an appeal to pragmatism, which is an appeal to how things actually work.
I didn't say how things actually work.
Pragmatism. Pragmatism. When you make an appeal to pragmatism, you're making an appeal to how things work.
No, oh my God. Yeah, how it works, how how we actually come to a conclusion today. That's how pragmatism works. We can see it in everyday use. We can see it, for example,
I apologize to everybody else in the room because I didn't realize how thick this guy is.
Yeah,
okay, stop.
I accept your apology.
You're not getting this. When you appeal to pragmatism,
do you think it's not that I don't understand? I don't concede to your idea
know how things
just
work?
Because I don't have a base saying this is the absolute truth doesn't mean I need to accept that your idea is the absolute truth. I do not need to concede that you are right. The only thing I can say is that as far as we know, there is no absolute truth because it has not been proven.
Tell me the difference between truth and absolute truth.
Well, there's no big real difference except that
then why are you adding absolute? Then why is it
because one is more used when we're conveying information.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
As an axiom,
is
or
true?
What we would base as a theory, we would say that would be an absolute truth.
Dude, listen to me.
We just
you're not educating me.
That you're truthful.
You're just listen. You're not educating me in the least. I'm trying. Listen. In spite of my disagreeing with you and challenging you, I'm actually helping you. You are making so many errors in the thing you're saying. It's shocking.
See,
now,
all of what you're doing right now.
I'm going to ask you a very simple question.
Any discussion or argumentation.
This is why it's a waste of. This is why it's a waste of time.
90% of what you said is how you are right, how everyone else is wrong.
You are not debating. You are being argumentative, and you're not listening. You're not listening, dude.
You're doing that.
You're a motor mouth.
You're talking about like 80% of the time you're talking and you're telling how everyone else is unintelligent or not informed just because they don't agree with your reality.
Lem, is that true?
What is true?
What you just said.
That you're over talking him and talking most of the time.
Hold on, I got to turn Hyper down because he wants to troll. Okay, you're turned down now, Hyper. Lem, is what you just said true?
You're turned down. Fuck you, dude.
Same old Darth, same old Darth.
Yeah, you see, I encounter these people who don't have critical thinking skills, and so they think that being argumentative, being aggressive, and over-talking
so this is, again, irrelevant to anything. The only thing you're doing is character assassination. If you don't stop, I mean, why would anyone take you seriously, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You say it's
get
not
to an argument instead.
Are there, when you say it's not relevant, are some things relevant to other things?
Wait. Lemasive, let me
That's a serious question.
Lemasive, let me jump in here because I think I have a similar worldview to you in some way.
Yeah, you see, you don't have the foggiest idea of what you're talking about, Lem.
Well, I'm not going into something that's
the most difficult
like
people that I
interrupting
find
him.
to
You're
talk
interrupting
to,
him.
listen to
Sir,
me.
you're interrupting him.
The most
You're
difficult time I have people is when I encounter people like yourself who are just simply argumentative. You keep on cutting me off when I'm trying to explain to you the numerous errors that you're making here. Once you admit that you have no ultimate basis, then whatever putative facts that you verbalize will themselves be without basis. Okay? Therefore, they're arbitrary by definition. Game over.
Wait, okay, but what's wrong with that, though, right? Like,
well, I mean,
because
crushing
most
atheism,
relatives-
Darth, however you want to be referred to, to the point you're doing the same thing that you're accusing other people of in this channel. You're over talking. You're basically holding precedent, in speech by not allowing other people to state their full claim. You're over talking repeatedly. You can't say you haven't been doing it. Everybody has been hearing you do that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Every time.
Anyway,
Yeah, there's an old line from Cool Hand Luke. I don't know if any of you've seen it in here, where Paul Newman gets caught for the umpteenth time escaping from the chain gang, and when they finally catch him for the last time, okay, he's put on. He gets smashed by the warden, thrown down before the other prisoners, and the owner of the chain gang says, there's some men that you simply can't reach, and that's the way they want it. Well, that perfectly describes Lem. He's not open to correction.
Well, no, but I think you're not explaining it in a way that he can understand. So
how am I not
dumbed it
open
down?
to correction?
Tails, are you the one responding to me? Because your mic is weak.
Yeah, I'm the one that just said I don't think you're explaining
Yeah, I've explained it. I've dumbed it down to him several times, and he's simply responding in argumentative mode. It's a common tactic. He doesn't understand how he's contradicting himself.
Well, I mean, I think I come from a somewhat similar worldview, so if I can take
you got to fix your microphone. It's very weak. I have you cranked up to 200%.
Sorry, I was saying I think I come from a somewhat similar worldview, so maybe if I can ask you a few questions, it would illuminate this general conversation. So the way that I would define truth is basically that which works, right? So I come from a similar worldview of things are generally arbitrary and relative. We don't really know anything for a fact. We just have what we perceive as reality, and then maybe
is it a fact? Is that a fact that you
now you're
perception?
interrupting him again. I mean, seriously.
No,
shut the fuck up.
This is fine.
Lem, listen, you're an idiot.
No, you're an idiot because you don't actually understand what I'm talking about. You think I don't understand? That you think
I always love these people who are missing.
You think I don't understand that I might be contradicting your standards?
I'm gonna turn down Lem. He's really quite.
Yeah, and I'll mute you and I'll keep talking. Let's see how fun that is.
Go ahead, Tails.
Well, you were asking me if something was a fact.
Yeah, you got to get close to your mic, please.
Sorry, you were asking me if something I said was a fact.
Yeah, you said truth is not attainable.
Oh, well, I didn't say truth isn't attainable. I said I would define truth as that which works. So if something is true, that means it has some function.
Truth is that which works.
Hey, I'm drunk talking.
That gets me to what I want. It helps me get to what I want.
So truth is causal relations between events. Is that how you define it?
I don't know, that you might be using terminology too big for me, but
when you talk about works, when you say something works, what you're talking about is a chronology of events where there are causal relations, where some things can happen and some things can't. So you're saying truth is that which there are causal relations between events.
I think I might be. Well,
sure.
I would say it like
he's not saying it's truth. He says plausible, and he accepts it plausible as a truth.
Turn Lem down and ignore him. Go ahead.
Yeah. So truth is plausible, right? In most relatives' idea.
Are you there?
You can't prove anything.
Yeah, I think Lem is making a good point here.
I have him turned down. Lem is a waste of time to talk to because he's not open for even the least bit of correction.
You're a waste of time because you always use circular reasoning, Darth.
Truth is like it's about probabilities, not like for sure or not for sure, right? So it's how likely
Well,
you are
then,
to be able to tell if
well,
something
but you
is.
see, in order to invoke probability, you have to have access to the background information, which will entail that which is static and that which is dynamic. Okay, you cannot invoke the intelligibility or meaningfulness of probability without ascertaining that which is static and that which is dynamic or changing. So, how do you ascertain what's static?
I would use my general perception. It's a guess and check kind of thing. At least
How do you
how
how
I
do you
see it.
know how do you know what does not change?
How do you know what does not change?
Based on
I would.
observation
Yeah,
for
do
a
you
long
know
period
that
of time.
there's anything? Is there anything in your view that is in reality that is fundamentally static?
Gravity.
I would say there's things that are more or less static, right? Based on
No,
my
you're not
experience.
understanding it. When you invoke a probabilistic assessment, that does not logically necessitate that something is the case. So, for example, if I reach into a barrel of 5,000 pennies, copper pennies, and one of them is marked black with a Sharpie, and I reach in blindly, grab one, put it in a shoebox, and cover it up, okay, you might say, well, it's probably not black. But, okay, if you want to say truth is probabilistic, you're really bastardizing the widespread usage of the word truth in Western civilization. Most people hold to the concept of truth is that which conforms to the nature of reality.
Yeah. Well, I think there's an
So,
element of both, like they're kind of intertwined a little bit. So I think most
So how
people
do you
would.
have listen, you just can't appeal to probabilities because in order to invoke probabilities, you have to know what is fixed and what is not fixed, that which is static and that which is dynamic. Do you know that there is anything that is ultimately unchanging?
Do I know? Well, in my personal view, I don't know anything, and so I don't know that anything is unchanging. It's kind
So
of like,
you know that you don't know anything?
yeah. So I start with faith, right? Like, so
No,
in
no, no.
this
I asked you
worldview,
a
I take on
question.
faith.
Do you know that you don't know anything?
No, I take it on faith that I know some things.
Now, listen. Is it your position that you know some things or you do not know anything?
No, is it my position that it's my position that I don't know anything.
Get closer to your mic, please.
Sorry, it's my position that I don't know anything.
Okay, that's a self-refuting statement.
No, well then this is why I brought up the faith thing. I take it on faith that there are some
No,
things
you're
that I
not
know.
understanding. Do you understand that your previous statement was a self-contradiction?
Well, that's what. Well, I would say then I would put that statement aside real quick and say I start with the idea that I take some things on faith, and one of the things that I take on faith is I exist, and the next thing I take on faith is I have certain natural. I don't want to say natural. What's the word? I have certain characteristics, and one of them is to avoid pleasure, avoid pain, and seek in the direction of pleasure. Right. So there are
Listen.
bad things and there are good things. Those are
No.
the things I take on faith, and I
Listen.
work from
Listen.
there.
What is it? Okay. You didn't answer the question. You responded, but you didn't answer. I said, what is it of anything at all that is ultimately unchanging?
What is it?
No.
Is there anything that you can show me that is absolutely static?
That is absolutely that I would know to be.
Yeah, you got to get close to your mic, please.
Sorry, yeah. Off the top of my head, I would say maybe not. I would say I don't know.
Okay, therefore, you now have no foundation for a probabilistic assessment because a probabilistic assessment is going to be based upon background information, and background information is going to be in virtue of that which is static and that which is dynamic. Okay?
You know, we
So how
base
do
our
you make a
information based
probabilistic
on
assessment
probability, right,
about
and
that
plausibility.
which is static? You see, appealing to probabilism as truth is self-refuting.
No one said it's the truth.
Well, but see, maybe probabilism isn't the right word here. Then it's because the way that I'm trying to put this is I take on faith that I exist. I take on faith that I have certain qualities of preference, right? One of my preferences is to avoid pain, and the other one, the preference is to like seek out pleasure.
Explain to me. Well, you're giving me a series of putative facts. Okay.
Okay.
Since you do not know what is static or absolute or ultimate, then these putative facts that you're telling me ultimately have no basis.
Yeah.
You
No.
understand the problem? No, you're not understanding. In other words, what you're saying is I'm believing things with no basis.
Yeah, that's why it's fake.
Basis would be the
saying I
observation
take it
and
by
pattern
faith.
recognition. Just say that.
It's simply just some
Just
guy
say that you do it
who
based
dresses
on pattern
up in women's
recognition
clothes
and
and makeup.
observations.
Okay.
You're
saying what you mean when you say I take it by faith. You're just saying I'm believing certain things with no basis at all.
Yeah.
Pattern recognition.
What you're describing is fideism.
Okay.
Spell that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
basically, any putative fact that you now present, you've now conceded, is without ultimate basis. So you conceded everything you say is arbitrary.
Yeah.
Good. Why should and everything you say is wrong because the moon is made out of green cheese? Do you accept that?
Everything I say is wrong because
everything you say is wrong because the moon is made out of green cheese. Do you accept that?
I do not accept that.
Why not?
It's an absolute statement.
It's arbitrary.
He doesn't accept absolute statements, you coconut.
Okay. See, the problem with people like yourself is you come up with these notions, but you're not willing to follow them to their ultimate beginning point, which is nothing.
I'm not sure on that, right? Because it could be the case. Like you might be able to convince me otherwise, but I don't see the path that you seem to see. So one of us is mistaken.
Yeah, what you just said is just empty rhetoric.
Is it? I mean, you
if you're going to present to me putative facts, okay?
Who are you?
Whatever those facts may be,
who cares?
Their intelligibility is either going to be in virtue that they are absolute, ultimate, and static, or that they are derived from that. Okay? So do you understand that facts only derive their meaningfulness and intelligibility in virtue of that which is ultimate or absolute? Otherwise, the putative fact will be without basis and therefore without meaning and intelligibility.
Well, then maybe I would say then let's not use the word fact. Let's just use opinion. It's my opinion.
No, you're not. You can't escape. Listen, you can't escape making putative facts.
Okay.
So
you can't speak without it.
So is Drug Dawkins here or no?
That's him. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Questions for him.
Can you define?
You can wait your turn. I'm talking with Tails. A putative fact is a fact that is presented as that it is true.
Oh, but so a putative fact is something that's presented as true. For it to be true, it has to be based in an ultimate reality or some ultimate basis.
No, I said that in order for it to be intelligible metaphysically, it will either have to be absolute, unconditionally non-dependent in itself, or it's ultimately derived from such. I mean, have you ever heard the expression, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link?
Okay, putative means commonly accepted or supposed.
It doesn't matter.
It's not an absolute truth, you fucking asshat.
That you have a chain of explanations for something. Is if we get to the final link, and that link is not
just
in itself
stop talking with this guy. He's
absolute.
just making
so that
shit
chain
up
is
right
not
now.
hanging on anything.
He's
so
just
it makes
making
no
shit up.
difference whether you have
Putative means
19
commonly
links
accepted or supposed.
versus you have one
That's the
link.
only thing it means.
Okay, do you understand, Tail?
No,
there we go. There you go. That's from Merriam-Webster. Enjoy it. He's just fucking retarded.
Yeah, do we have any mods in the room to stop this disruptive behavior by Lem?
Yeah, the only thing you're doing is just killing everyone else.
Go ahead, Tail.
I think the gap here might be that you basically there has to be some kind of objective basis at bottom in how you're describing it for anything to be intelligible. That's the general worldview that I think you're presenting. But
can you tell again what putative means? Can you tell us what putative means? Can you tell us what putative means?
Explain to me.
Can you tell us what putative means?
With respect to what the nature of reality is. But you've already conceded you don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So your facts hang on nothing.
Well, I mean, I guess, would you mind defining putative one more time, please?
The manner in which I'm using the word putative means that the fact presented is it's either explicitly or implicitly conveyed that it's actual, that it's true.
That it's true. And true means what?
So bullshit then.
Well, when people use the word true, most people use it that which conforms to the nature of reality.
The nature of reality. Okay. So this is, and maybe it's just going to be hard because we're speaking differently. You could be right, but it's just I'm not speaking the language you're speaking exactly. Because this is my worldview, and you can just tell me what's wrong with it, but maybe you use some smaller words because maybe I'm not as smart as you, okay? So this is how I see life. I come into existence.
Don't feed
I
his
don't know
ego.
how. I have perception. I just take it on faith that that's a thing. I take it on faith that I'm a thing, and I take it on faith that I have certain preferences. And I would say even not exactly faith because
You're repeating that. This is the fourth time you've told me this.
So what's wrong?
We've been over that. I've already explained it to you. I gave you a rebuttal 3 times already. Weren't you listening?
Yeah, I was, but I don't think it's not connecting for me. Is what I'm saying. Like I don't see what you're saying, how it invalidates what I'm saying.
What you're saying is false because tricycles have 3 wheels.
What you're saying is false because I don't see the connection between those. That the idea in that sentence, I don't see the connection between the two.
Yeah, in order for there to be a connection, there has to be relations and a basis. I'm trying to illustrate a point to you. I'm trying to illustrate a point to you that you're not accepting my rebuttal because the rebuttal doesn't follow. It's baseless, right? Do you accept things as true when they're baseless or arbitrary?
Can you give us an example?
See, no, this is the problem. I accept something as true if I can see its function. If it has any benefit to my life, like that's what makes something true.
So something is true if it conforms to certain ideas you have in your head?
No, something is true if I find that it will give me the things that I want or move me in a direction that's better than where I'm at.
That's the most bizarre definition of truth I've ever heard.
Is pretty
well, see, that's
the
pragmatic definition of truth, though.
But you see, listen, you see, you have no basis to invoke pragmatism.
Why?
Because pragmatism is an appeal to how things work, but you don't know how things work.
No, yeah, I don't know, but I take on faith. I take
your appeal. Listen, your appeal to pragmatism is an appeal to an arbitrariness. Do you understand?
Yeah, I do.
Good. So therefore, everything you're saying, no matter how simple or complicated, ultimately comes down to your arbitrary principles.
Wait, maybe I don't understand. Can you define arbitrary?
Arbitrary means to assert without basis or foundation.
So I agree on that strict definition that it is arbitrary, but I don't think.
Well, then we're done. Then if it's your principle to accept and assert arbitrary statements, then you should be accepting my arbitrary statements.
Well, no, but see, that's not right. So it's my principle isn't to accept arbitrary statements the way you define it. My principle is to accept statements that are functional. If I can see a function to them, then I.
That's an arbitrary statement.
Yeah, well,
when you say functional, listen. All you're simply doing is you're repeating for a 5th time, but in slightly different words, an appeal to pragmatism when you talk about how things function. Yeah. Do you in order for things to function, you're talking about a chronology of events where there are causal relations. Does that state of affairs exist?
Does a chronology of events?
Are there? No. When you say you perceive, that's begging the question because sense perception presupposes causal relations. Okay.
Okay. I mean.
Yeah. Listen, okay. I don't want to beat up on you, okay? Because you're a nice guy. You're not being rude. You're not being argumentative like that moron Lem. Okay. You and I completely disagree. Okay. So, you know, that's why you're not being stupid. You're just not understanding the dilemma that you're in.
Not understanding.
I mean, yeah, I could see that. Maybe I am not being able to see it. That's why I'm trying to engage in this conversation to hopefully.
Yeah, that's why I'm not irritated with you, because you're just genuinely not understanding, as opposed to being an argumentative moron like Lem.
I have a,
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Damn.
I didn't, Lem, I didn't say, Lem, I never said that. No, I didn't.
Wait.
Lem, you're very,
In my
Lem,
head?
listen to me carefully, Lem.
No,
You need to
I'm
listen
done with you. I'm not
carefully.
interested in talking to you because
Yeah,
you're being
and here we go again.
and you have never,
Motor mouth,
ever
argumentative
said
Lem
anything that is
doesn't want to have
based
a
on.
conversation.
Tell us
Now
something
he's
that's
making
based on
up
something
quotes.
then. Tell us
Bro,
something
what
that's
did you
based
say?
on.
Yeah, that's okay.
Tell us
It's
an absolute.
embarrassing for you because everyone
Tell
else
us an
heard you.
absolute, Crushing. Tell us an absolute right now.
Okay.
All right, great.
Darth,
So
why
wait,
do you
what?
I'm
use
curious
your
about
own
that too.
definitions?
What is an absolute truth? Can I have an example of that?
What is an absolute? Well, there's only one absolute, and that's the triune God of the Christian world.
Yep.
Why
And
is
that's
it?
an
Why is
assumption.
that an absolute truth? Why is that
Everything.
an absolute
Well,
truth?
I didn't say absolute truth. You see,
Well, that's what I said.
some of you,
What is
you're
an
over
example of
talking
an
now. I'm answering you. Now, if you persist in over talking me, I'll put a note down in your account not to respond to you any further. Now, I did not use the term absolute truth. I never do unless I'm quoting somebody else. Okay. Now, somebody asked me, what is something that is absolute? And I told them the triune God of the Christian scriptures. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you have evidence of this, right?
Exactly.
Well, the only evidence that we can have of that which is absolute is for the absolute to be, first of all, personal and have a number of other attributes which I can get into, such as the Christian God, and give self-disclosure of himself. If you reject the evidence that has been provided by the Christian God in natural and special revelation, you deny that he's given self-disclosure, then the problem is going to be is whatever putative fact or propositions that you say afterwards is going to require its own ultimate basis, which is not the Christian God. And then you're going to be in a big bag of hurt.
But you haven't proven God.
Okay.
You know that, right?
Okay, wait a minute though, because you still didn't answer my question, which is I need you to give me an example.
I have multiple people asking me questions. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, please answer
So I'm going to
my
focus
question.
on you right now. I will. I'm going to focus on you, Jared.
Okay. Can you give me an example of a truth that is absolute?
Yeah, the Christian God exists.
How do you know
that? Show me that it exists.
The Christian God exists due to his self-disclosure in natural special revelation, and the denial thereof leads to incoherence. So in the same way that you believe in the reality of the external physical world, laws of nature, causality, and laws of logic, you believe them due to the impossibility of the contrary. The Christian God's self-disclosure is true not only because of its self-disclosure, but due to the impossibility of the contrary. And if you simply do not accept the self-disclosure of the Christian God, then I'm going to ask you, what is your model of reality or ontology that is a basis for anything?
Utter gibberish.
The
Yeah,
self-revelation,
buddy,
the
the burden of proof is not on us.
Yeah,
It's
just
on you.
for all of you other hecklers in here, just take note. I'm going to ignore you. I'm talking with Jared right now.
The burden of proof is on you.
Well, there's
So
the self-revelation
Jared,
of the
so
elder gods
Jared-
through the works of H.P. Lovecraft.
So Jared,
You
do
can't
you?
refute it. It's you cannot.
Yeah,
refute it.
you're on ignore, sir. Jared, do you understand? Either you accept the self-disclosure of the Christian God, or you reject it. So which is it?
He doesn't know. He's a relativist.
Self-disclosure. I need you to be specific. Like, what do you mean by the self-disclosure?
God, the Christian God, has revealed himself in natural revelation and through special revelation. You either accept it or you deny it.
Why have I not seen that? I have not seen that.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Bible?
I have not read it in its entirety, but I know like a couple verses.
Okay. Do you accept the Bible as the infallible, inerrant self-disclosure of the Christian God? Do you accept that?
One more time with the question, please.
Do you accept the Bible as the infallible, inspired self-disclosure of the true God? Do you accept it?
Okay, can you say it in words that aren't so big so
Do
that I
you
can
accept the Bible as the self-disclosure of the one true God?
You believe the Bible.
Self-disclosure.
You accept the Bible as true.
Yeah.
I do not accept it as true. No.
Okay. So then when you are going to be conversing with me here on, and you're going to make propositions or predications, in order for them to be intelligible, since they won't be in virtue of the God of the Bible as the basis for their intelligibility, what foundational principle or absolute of existence are you going to have as a basis for intelligibility?
I'm not going to have any because I don't know.
Well, then why are you speaking?
Oh,
why should I even? If you don't know what the basis is for anything, why do you bother making any declarations then?
Because the burden of proof exists.
Okay, okay. Do you? So you say the burden of proof exists. Is that fact rooted in the ground of all being, that which is ultimate? Is it meaningful? Is the burden of proof a meaningful concept and stipulation in virtue of that which is ultimate?
To me, it is. To me,
no, I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you to you. I said, is the statement the burden of proof? Is it intelligible with respect to the ultimate nature of reality?
Yikes! How else are you going to detect it?
No, I think I see the problem here.
Do you have an answer?
Wait. I think I see the problem.
Yeah,
Darth,
I'm waiting for an answer to Jared. If anyone talks in between the time he talks, then you're heckling. So you don't have an answer. Thank you. You can be quiet now. I'll move on to somebody else. Because what I've just demonstrated to you is when you reject the self-disclosure of the Christian God, you will have no basis to assert things.
What if you're Vishnu then?
It's asserted it.
Wait.
You're
No, so
going to
I
assert
think
that's the case. You haven't actually argued that's the case.
But no, see, I think here's the problem. I think Darth has the locus of reality built on top of the Christian God. That's the objective, absolute basis. And if you're a relativist, the locus of reality is built upon yourself. It's your.
Oh my
Just
God!
No, Tal, that was very badly put. That would not be the locus of reality, because the moon does not exist in virtue because of you or me or whoever is under consideration. The locus of reality is going to have to be whatever is ultimate and absolute. No. You really do not understand the issue, Tails.
Well, no, but see, here's the thing, though. I accept on faith that there's this concept of objective reality of things that exist, whether I'm conscious or not.
Why don't you be just a little bit more transparent and say, I accept this arbitrarily. I accept that arbitrarily.
Yeah, that's what I understand faith to mean, like without good evidence.
Using the word arbitrarily is quite false,
but you don't understand.
Based on observation, pattern recognition, and testing over long time of you're disrupting. You know that, right?
When you talk about good evidence, there's no basis for evidence in your model of reality, Tails. You see, what you've done is, listen, Tails, in all due respect to you, you're a nice guy. I don't think you're stupid, but you've contradicted yourself several times. When you acknowledge that there's no basis for anything, then when you make an appeal to evidence, evidence won't be based upon anything ultimately. Okay?
I have a basis for reality to refute his, but he local muted me against the rules and everything. But he did.
I mean, he's a moron.
No, it's not against the rules.
It's just an ultimate fucking moron that says
Everybody is
I
ganging up on
have the
Darth, but
absolute
literally
truth.
getting beat.
I have no evidence of the absolute truth, but I have
This
it,
is
and
what
everyone else.
they're left with trolling and heckling. It's embarrassing. It happens all the time.
Asking Darth what it would actually mean. Guys, have you actually thought about asking Darth what it would mean for something to be, quote, the grounds of reality?
Yeah, we've done that. Yeah, we've done that several times.
What are you talking?
No, but no, he basically says that you
answered.
can't have any intelligible anything without a ground for reality. So basically, anything that has any logic or rationality requires that acceptance. Like it's almost like everything you do there's no way out of it, basically, which is.
Well, this is very interesting. This is very interesting because he doesn't have grounds for anything outside the Bible. He doesn't have anything outside the Bible in his idea.
Virtue of an ultimate
Nothing
basis or
outside the Bible is true or real
Bro,
to him.
why are you
Nothing
so
outside the
angry,
Bible.
bro?
No,
Dude, why are you so
he talks
angry?
about there being a natural revelation or something.
No, yeah, but okay, so then God speaks to him. Can we ask him that? Does God speak to him and tell him what reality is then? Because he has no basis except the Bible, because he said, well, you have to accept the Bible to, have somewhere to come from. And the Bible doesn't mention everything in the world, so how does he know that anything outside of the Bible is true? I'm curious about that.
Tail, you might as well, listen, Tail, you might as well simply dismiss everything you hear coming out of Lem, because Lem says he doesn't know anything is true.
I say that too.
Okay.
Like I know things are true.
Well, then, if you don't know that anything is true, then all that's coming out of your mouth is sound and fury, signifying nothing. It's just a gobbledygook of arbitrariness.
No,
okay,
well, see, I feel like there's a dichotomy there that I don't necessarily have to accept, or I'm not accepting. So
what's the dichotomy that you're referring to, Tails?
Well, you wouldn't be the only one not accepting things, Tails. Like Darth Dawkins here, when I tried to bring up my source for my grounding of reality, he was like, well, I'm going to have to mute you. I'm going to have to stop listening. You're ignored. It's like, come on, Darth Dawkins, play on a fucking level playing field, you pussy.
Hyper, unbeknownst to you, I turned you up a while ago. I was ignoring you because you're being obnoxious. Now, if you want to act like a grown-up, I'll be glad to have a conversation.
I don't think Shub Niggurath would appreciate being called obnoxious.
Yeah,
Okay.
Darth, you're not
Now,
acting
do you
like a
wanna have
grown-up.
an
You're being
adult-to-adult
condescending. You're
conversation,
disruptive.
Hyper?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. So,
Yes.
So what do you want to what do you want to start with, Hyper?
First of all, your Bible and your God are lesser than the elder gods who rule over the multi-cosmos. Period. You can't get away. You can't get away from it. You can't escape them. To attempt to do so will drive you to madness, which is what it seems like is happening with you right now. Going mad.
Is that your model? Is that your model of reality?
Yeah, it's called the elder gods.
Okay, and are they eternal?
They're outside of time. Of course, they're eternal to you, but they're outside of time itself.
Okay, so they never began to exist then.
That's correct.
Now,
they have no causality.
Okay,
they have no causality. Causality itself is something that you attempt to use.
So you're a polytheist. You're a polytheist.
Let him finish. Can you let him finish?
Are you a polytheist? Are you a polytheist?
So what I was saying was causality is your four-dimensional perception, your limited four-dimensional perception, trying to deal with and tango with an 8 and upper dimensional situation, a high dimensional.
How do you know there's
some of the
causality?
other gods
How do you know
have
there's
infinite
causality?
dimensionality?
Yeah, you're not being substantive at all. How do you know there's causality?
What a dick.
How do you know there's causality?
I'm waiting for an answer.
No, I told you causality is a concept you've been using.
Okay. You asserted that there's causality. How in your polytheistic system do you know there's causality?
Shit, E3 about to begin.
I already told you the elder gods are preeminent of all existence. They don't have to
You're
give
not.
a puzzle.
Listen, we're done. I'm going to turn you down. You're completely.
No, because you do this with God. You do this with the biblical God all the time.
No, when people don't answer my direct questions and they just blather on,
I did
I'm not
answer
going to
his
waste my
question.
time.
See,
He's an
he's
idiot.
You're known for that yourself.
He can't
though.
actually
here's the
argue.
problem,
You're known
though.
for that yourself.
Wait, if you keep using all these characteristics, y'all are almost talking about the same being or thing. Like,
Actually, no. Okay, what he's attempting to do now, I don't take seriously for 1 minute that he believes in gods, but let's just assume for the sake of argument that he does. Okay,
He's not in the
I
channel.
could demonstrate within a series of minutes, with questions about what he considers to be ultimate. He'll completely implode and just start rambling on. Right. So I'll ask him, what is the relationship?
He's not in the channel anymore.
God, or do they share one essence or not one essence? Okay. I mean, I could go on and on. He's an idiot.
Well, we know you can. That's your whole debate thing. You just tell them to list their ultimate thing, and then it's not your fucking Christian God. They're wrong. That's what you're.
Well, sir, my approach is entirely a biblical one, and it's consistent with the Christian scriptures. So if you object to my line of reasoning and my methodology, then you would be objecting to the Christian view, because in the Christian view, it says there are no other gods. Okay? There is no other God other than the God of the Christian scriptures, which means that there are no other absolutes or ultimacies. Okay? So if somebody comes along, if somebody comes along and says, I don't accept the Christian God, then they're going to be operating from some other ultimacy or absolute, whether it's personal or impersonal. Now, I know ahead of time, because I know the end of the movie. I know that it doesn't exist. So it's going to be a hopeless endeavor. Yeah, I know it's going to be a hopeless endeavor for them to establish an account for another ultimacy.
Let them do it then.
So it's
Let them
pointless
do
to
it.
debate you then.
Hold on a second. Go ahead,